Okay, myself Marslin Renisha, Assistant Professor, Civil Department at Emmanuel Arasa JJ College of Engineering. Today I am going to explain about the topic about internal structure of the earth. Already we know that there are three main layers in the earth structure. First is the crust, and second one is the mantle, and third one is the core. Next, the internal structure of the earth. The structure of the earth is divided into four major components. That is, in the core there are two parts, the outer core and the inner core. The structure of the earth is divided into four major components: the crust, the mantle, the outer core and the inner core. Each layer has the unique chemical composition, physical state and an impact life on the earth surface. So this is the structure of the earth. The downward side is the core, that is the inner side of the earth, almost the inner side. It is the very hottest state in the earth. Totally 6,378 kilometers to 5,100 kilometers of the earth occupied this core side. The inner side is normally a solid and outer side is the liquid. Actually this is the magma of the inner side of the, it is the very hottest side in the earth. So there are two parts, outer core and the inner core, and the above portion, that orange, that side portion is the mantle. The mantle and the above portion, the mantle is the mid portion and the above portion is the crust. The crust, there are three stages: lithosphere. Generally crust and the uppermost solid is a lithosphere, and this is the structure of the earth. So in the structure of the earth, this first diagram explain about the inner core, outer core, mantle and the crust. The yellowest portion is the inner core and the outer core. The red color portion is the mantle, and the last orange portion is the crust. In the crust, the thickness varies from 30 to 40 inner this. Next, lithosphere, the rigid outer layer of the earth that induces the crust and the upper mantle, and the acanthosphère, the hottest weather side is the, that is one, and the mantle, the mostly solid inner between the crust and the earth outer core. The outer core, the fluid layer, mainly potential iron and rocks. Next, this is normally a structures. Another one diagram explain about the structures. Crust, the upper portion crust that contain solids, earth particles like sand, soil, stone and the sea portions, etc. So this is the outer, this crust only. So the outer portion crust has volcanic arc, oceans, ocean crust, solid uppermost mantle, continental crust, moho discontinuity and the subdivision zone. So first is the crust. The crust is the outermost solid part of the earth. The thickness of the crust varies under the oceanic and continental areas. Oceanic crust is thinner as compared to the continental crust. The continental crust is thicker in the areas of major mountain system. The crust is made up of behavior rocks having a density of 3 gram per centimeter cube. The kind of rock seen in the oceanic crust is ballast. The main density of material in the oceanic crust is 2.7 gram per centimeter cube. Silica and aluminium are the major continental minerals, hence it is often termed SiAl. Also sometimes SiAl is used to refer to the lithosphere. Next, the types of crust. There are three types in the crust. First is the primary crust, secondary crust, tertiary crust. So, first in the primary crust, this is the planet original crust. It is formed from solidification of magma ocean. Toward the end of the planetary acceleration, the terrestrial plants likely had surfaces that we magma oceans as this cooled and solidification into crust. This crust was likely destroyed by large impacts and reformed many times as the era of heavy bombardment draw to the close. The nature of primary crust is still debated. Its chemical, mineralogical, and physical properties are unknown, as are the igneous mechanisms that formed them. Truly is because its difficulties to study. None of Earth's primary crust has served to today. Earth's high rate of erosion and crucial recycling from plate tectonic has destroyed all rocks older than about 4 million years, including whatever primary crust Earth once had. However, geological and clinical information about primary crust by studying its other terrestrial plants, Mercury's highlands might representation of primary crust. The Martin Memorodical AL H84001 might represent primary crust of Mars. However, again this is debated. And next type is the secondary crust. Secondary crust is formed by partial melting of mostly silicate material in the mantle, and so it's usually basaltic in composition. This is the most common type of crust in the solar system. Most of the surface of Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars comprise secondary crust as lunar maria. The Earth's secondary crust forms primarily at mid-spreading center, where the adiabatic rise of mantle causes partial melting. And third part of the crust is the tertiary crust. Tertiary crust is more chemically modified, either primary or secondary crusts. It can formed in several ways. Igneous process, partial melting of secondary crust coupled with a differential or hydration, erosion and sedimentation. Sediments derived from primary, secondary or tertiary crust. The only known example of tertiary crust is the continental crust of the Earth. It is unknown whether other terrestrial plants can said to have tertiary crust, though the evidence so far suggests that do not. This is likely because plate tectonic is needed to create tertiary crust, and Earth is the only planet in solar system with plate tectonics. And next is the mantle. So, the portion of the interior behind the crust is called the mantle. This is the solid state. It has a density higher than the crust portion. The thickness ranges from 10 to 200 kilometers. The mantle extends from Moho's discontinuity to the depth of 2900 kilometers. The asthenosphere is the upper portion of the mantle. This is the chief source of magma that finds its way to the surface during volcanic eruptions. The crust and the uppermost part of the mantle are called the lithosphere. The major continents elements of the mantle are silica and magnesium, or hence it's also termed as SiMa. So the next structure is the core. The core mantle boundary is positioned at the depth of 2900 kilometers. The inner core is the solid state, whereas the outer core is the liquid state. So the core is made up of very highly material, mostly constituted by nickel and iron. Hence it is also called the knife layer. So these are all about the structure of the earth. So there are three parts. Thank you.